Morning, Bridge. Did you have a nice weekend? I've got a lot to share with you today. A lot. So my weekend was spent feeling quite loved. Not from you, obviously, because you still haven't got back to me. Oh, on that one, you didn't do your homework. Now, I think that's either a behaviour point or a demerit. 3 of those and it's a detention. I'll be honest, I've defended you to people who have said you should be expelled. I think that's a bit harsh for, just one missed homework. But if you could get back to me on all those questions I asked you before about who was going to pay the people that were going to have to give their jobs up to homeschool their kids. That's a really easy one for you. So just one question. If you could get back to me, I can't give you an extension, but I might be able to get rid of the behaviour point. So I had lots of people getting in touch with me saying thank you for fighting this ridiculous policy. And this might surprise you because it really surprised me. Loads of them are from state school. Like loads. And I thought it was just the posh ones that wouldn't like it. And they'd have to spend, a few minutes away from eating their caviar on their yachts to send a text going, oh, thanks, keep up the great work. Makes no difference to us. We've got pots of money. Oh, I did look down the back of the sofa. I did, to see if I could find 15% there. That's what I found. There's a hair clip, which is quite useful because my hair's always in my face. No money. Anyway, I thought it was going to be the rich posh people getting in touch saying thank you so much for highlighting this. We have the money, but we'd rather spend it on an all-inclusive somewhere. But it wasn't. It was state school people. And they were saying, no offence, Anna, but we just don't want you. We don't have enough resources at school anyway. We don't have enough SEN. We don't have enough teachers. We don't have enough actual seats in classes. It's an absolute, and I won't use their words because it's a bit rude, but an S show. And then I found a tweet forwarded to me by somebody with a surname sort of like mine, Anthony Baltall. I'll have said that wrong, I'm really sorry. Who's a state school teacher. So he's in your gang. So he's in the ones that are normal working. Oh God, hang on, we've gone down that rabbit hole again. Is he a normal working person? He's a teacher, so he's not going to be getting a huge amount of money, although I think the unions have just given them a little bit more. He's earning more than me, I know that much, but he's a teacher and he must get a monthly pay packet. So I think he's a working person. Anyway, he's in your gang because he's in state school. He's a bit cross though, Bridget. And I want to break this to you gently because it's never nice to have bad news. But he doesn't agree with your policy at all. Since extra money hasn't been put aside for state education per pupil funding for state schools, it will necessarily decrease as 3 to 7% of independent school students join, according to the IFS. Now, that figure varies quite a lot. 3 to 7% is actually on the low side, but I know that we don't do figures because yours don't add up, so don't expect mine to. Disadvantaged children in affected areas will find themselves in larger class sizes, meaning less scope for differentiated support. Well, that's already happening. So if it's already happening, then the 3 to 7%, if we're going to go on the IFS, even though we think it's more, that's going to make it a lot worse, isn't it? Considerably fewer disadvantaged children will receive bursaries to independent schools as it can't be justified with rising fees. Now, we know this is happening because we know lots of independent schools are already saying there are no bursaries. So we know that that's already a thing. Disadvantaged children will have less chance of getting into good and outstanding schools as they are crowded out by those taking places and moving to relevant catchment areas. Now, I know this was, that's not happening. It was the Tories. And when I've done the washing, we're going to do a little video when I'm doing the ironing on that, because I am so sick to death of that record over and over and over. But we know that people are now trying to move, which is great news for the housing market if you're rich and you've got broad shoulders. But if you can't afford to buy a house, and particularly in a good catchment area, do you think I can put blues in with the whites? It's a shirt. I don't think it will stain. If you can't afford to buy a house in that catchment area, then you don't have a good school to go to. So you're left with a school that you didn't want in the first place, which is why you put your kid in independent. I mean, it's that funny circle thing, isn't it? So we know that there's lots of stuff moving, quite literally moving. Many of the hours of free teaching provided to schools in the most deprived areas by independent schools, along with the outreach programmes, funding for local initiatives, free access to facilities, summer schools, etc., will have to be cancelled, meaning disadvantaged children will receive less support. Now, I thought this whole thing was to support disadvantaged children. I thought it was for the children whose parents can't afford a private education, who needed more support. And my goodness me, find me a parent that doesn't agree with that. We all agree with that. But yet your policy is going to mean that what you want to give them, you're taking away from them. Oh, I mean, that's a bit like Christmas, isn't it? If this is the present, you can have it, you can have it, you can... No, you can't. I mean, come on, Bridget. We do not want to be introducing the Grinch at this time of year just yet. There's plenty of time for that. SEN children will face unnecessary disruption in the middle of an academic year. Well, we know that this makes me cry and it's too early in the day to cry. But it wasn't okay for Kia's son. So it is not okay for anyone's child. And I mean, you made the tagline, or your PR people made the tagline, that you wanted better education for every child because every child matters. But you systematically contradict that. Systematically prove that it's not every child. But back to my original point. So this was the state school teacher who tweeted this, Anthony Bootle. He tweeted how your policy is set to fail, but more importantly, your policy is going to harm children in state school. And I know from all the messages that I'm getting that those state school parents and children do not want us. And they do not want your policy. So at first they kind of did, because everyone was jumping on the bandwagon of, well, you're rich, you know, it's just the rich ones moaning again, isn't it? What did somebody say this weekend that I thought was really funny? Entitled faux outrage. I mean, what does that even mean? What is entitled faux outrage? But there's been a lot, because you want a class war and you're certainly doing a good job in inciting it. There's been a lot of chat about rich versus poor, entitled versus not entitled, da-da-da-da-da-da. But now it's actually getting down to the real bare bones of this situation, which is you are using children as collateral damage. And the parents in state school, and I said this would happen. I said it, Bridget. I mean, nobody likes a smart aleck, but I did say it first. The parents in state school have actually, of course, why am I even saying actually? Of course they're saying it, because they're decent people. They're nice people. And they are saying, why are you taking away education from a group of children, claiming it's to make education for our children better, when all you're doing is stripping the education for our children? Now, they've all said, the parents that I've spoken to and the parents that have messaged me from state education have all said state needs significant help. And the parents in private education have all said state needs significant help. There is no argument. We are on, I'll do visuals because I'm visual, the same page. We do not disagree. Where we disagree, and here is the record broken again, is how you do it. So lots of people have also been saying, well, if I win the lottery, it won't matter. Ooh, light bulb moment. Tax gambling. You go away and get the nice person who does the figures to work out how much money gambling costs this country. You go and do that, and then you tax it. And then you use that tax money and you pay for an education which will hopefully educate children in many areas of life. But one, gambling's got a bit of a downside. It's all right to do the odd lottery every once in a while, but if you get hooked, it's tricky. Now, I don't think that's controversial. Maybe it is. Perhaps the inbox will be full with you can't tax gambling. Who knows? But I'm not taxing kids. I'm not taking away the one thing I say I'm giving. Taking with one hand, giving with the other. No, that's the wrong way around. Oh, I can't do left and right. Don't expect great things, and particularly at this time on a Monday morning. So, Bridge, and I'm feeling like we're less friends now because you're still not replying to me. I mean, you haven't even put your out of office on, but it's clear you're not there. You are not replying to anyone who opposes this. All you're doing is saying it was the Tories' fault. All you're doing is saying they left you with a hideous inheritance. Well, do you know what? My family left me with a massive pile of washing this weekend, most of which I've just put in. I had two choices, Bridget. I could have moaned at them and said, well, I'm not doing it. It was your fault. You left it. Oh, that looked a bit like you. I'm not doing it. It was your fault. You left it. Or I could get on with it, wash it, and educate them into not doing it again. Work with them, not against them. But if I spend my entire life blaming them, what's going to happen? No change. So stop blaming the Tories. It was someone's cocked it up spectacularly along the way. But instead of blaming them, let's put all of that negative energy into positive energy and find something really light bulb moment like. You could lead the way in education for a whole new generation. You could be the one that found the way to save state education without robbing the kids that are already in state education. That could be you, Bridget. It's a good thought, isn't it? I'm just going to jump on the bandwagon. I always said I would not do this for personal means, and I promise this will be the last time. But as we're talking about education, I just want a personal message to my family. This is a washing machine. It washes clothes. It's the white thing in the utility room. It's not there just to collect cat hair and dog food, although it does a good job of that. It's to wash clothes. You put them in. It's always on the cycle. You put the washing powder in that one. If you need fabric conditioner, you put it in the middle one and you press the button. And it's like a little magic thing. At the end of it, it's clean. And then you put it on the washing line and it's dry.